Hey guys, welcome back for another video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the best graphic settings to maximize your FPS and to run the game smoothly on the brand new VERDANSK update on Warzone. VERDANSK runs pretty well and I'm on 1440p with high frame rates and no stuttering issues. Overall, this update was executed very well by Call of Duty. Now, as you can see in the top left corner here, my FPS is constantly around the 200 mark and I am on 1440p. If I was on 1080p, it would be well over 300. I don't have the best setup either, so I'm behind a couple of gens when it comes to some of the hardware on my PC. So if you have an even better setup than mine, then you're in for a treat. I will leave all of my PC specs in the description below. Even in a gunfight here, as I'm shooting this player, there is absolutely no hitching or drops in frames. So make sure guys to copy all of the settings ahead in the video. So just before we hop into the in-game settings guys, I'm going to show you my Nvidia control panel settings. These also apply to the FPS that I am getting, so make sure you copy these if you are on a Nvidia GPU. So once the control panel is opened up, you want to come down to manage 3D settings, and once you see this page here, you're gonna want to copy all of these settings that I have here and scroll through, and you guys can copy at your own pace. Once you guys have copied the 3D settings, you then want to come down to adjust desktop color settings. This is going to affect the colors in game, so you want to make sure you set the brightness to 55, your contrast to 55, and digital vibrance to 65. Now you don't have to do this, but this just makes the game pop a little bit more, the colors stand out a little bit better, and I think the game just looks a little bit better overall. But yeah, make sure you guys copy all these settings, and now we're going to head into the in-game settings. Now I'm going to share with you guys the best in-game settings once you have loaded up Warzone. To begin, we're going to be on the display tab under graphics, and for the display mode, always make sure you are on full screen exclusive guys. This gives you the least amount of input delay. Make sure when you come down to Nvidia Reflex Low Latency, make sure this is on, not on boost. Also, make sure your refresh rate on your screen is at the max. I see a lot of people who are stuck at 60 or 120 even, when they can go all the way up to 240. So make sure that is also set to your correct monitor's refresh rate. Make sure you turn HDR off. The quality tab, we now have the render resolution set to 100. I play on 1440p as I just mentioned, but you guys can also obviously drop this down to 75, which will drop it to 1080p. If you want to gain more frames, if your PC can't really handle Warzone or Verdansk at the minute, then this is always an option. But for me, I play on 1440 and I am getting some amazing frames. So you want to make sure your fidelity casts on upscale / sharpening. Set the strength to 90. Make sure these are both turned off. This will give you insane input delay. Although it will give you more frames, those frames are basically fake. So please make sure you have these set to off. VRAM scale target, make sure this is set to 50. Variable rate shading on. Now moving on to the details and textures. It is a very common myth that you have to play on the lowest of the lowest graphics settings to have the best possible frames. This is simply not true. You can actually increase some of the settings, not all of them, although most are very low or off. There are some that you can set to, for example, normal here. I'm going to scroll through these and you guys can copy at your own pace. I'll mention any important ones. Make sure on-demand texture streaming is set to minimal and 16. Download limit set to off. Now moving on to view. Field of view actually reduces your FPS if you are at 120 FOV. A little trick to improve your FPS is actually drop your FOV to maybe 110, 105, 100. Personally, I prefer the max field of view on Warzone so I can see pretty much everything. but it does actually reduce your FPS at 120 because you're rendering in more of the screen. It makes sense, but for me, I like to stay on 120. Make sure motion blurs are turned off. Make sure the camera movement is also set to at least 50%. Now we're going to move over to the interface tab. This is personal preference. This doesn't actually improve your FPS or anything like that, but it simply makes your game look better. So I thought I would include it in the graphic settings because that is also included in the videos about making your game look better, perform better. So we're going to go through the interface settings here and come across to readability, and then you're going to come down to the bottom here where it says color customization. Open that up. Color palette, I set this to Deuteranopia. Now mine is on custom because I have changed the color of my icon to green. That changes it to custom, so yeah, Deuteranopia. And then what I do is I change my color to my branding color, which is green. You guys don't have to do this, but personal preference. Scrolling down, now you want to put on the color filter 2. This is the filter that I play on, and you want to make sure this is set to both. By default, it's set to interface, so if you want it to apply in game, which is the world, and it's set to both, or you can just set to world if you don't want your menu to change, but for me, I prefer both. As you can see, it brightens up quite a bit. Make sure the intensity is both set to 100. Now you want to come to the gameplay HUD and scroll down to the minimap shape. Make sure this is set to square. You're going to see more on the minimap as opposed to the round shape. Make sure it's set to square. Then if you want to come down to the crosshair section, you can actually change the color of your crosshair. So for me, the center dot is set to the largest, so the dot is very visible. I know what I'm centered on at all times. You can actually change the color of the crosshair and the dot to whatever color you want. For me, I change it to the branding of my icon, my logo, green. So there you have it, guys. You have the best graphic settings to be using on Warzone Verdansk as of right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this improved the performance on your guys' computer, your PCs. And thanks very much for watching the video, guys. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.